Okay, all right. Thank you so much for joining us, Anaga, and thanks so much for your time. Congratulations again. I know you've had phenomenal admits. We've put up booths out there, but I know you have other admits as well. So why don't you start with a kind of a brief, quick introduction about yourself, your background, what kind of admits have you landed? Why did you choose these schools? Why MBA? Just quick, kind of couple of minutes snapshot, please.
Sure, perfect. So I'm a chartered accountant. I currently work at a VC fund here in Bangalore. And prior to this, I was in the audit department of Deloitte, and I wanted to do an MBA primarily to pivot out of finance and accounting. So my end goal is entrepreneurship, but to reach that end goal, I thought that maybe MBA would be a great pivot and plus a geography shift. So it entirely started with me giving the GMAT, and I was like, okay, hey, the score is fine. And after that, I mean, I thought that, okay, I got a 760, now I can get into any school, but the task was actually began getting uphill from there. So then I reached out to Autry, and I think the entire process was extremely structured in the sense that it started with number one, me identifying my goals. So while I was researching, I did some research by myself before contacting Autry, and I just had a few essays, and I was like, okay, I just need to address these questions. But he was like, no, take 2 steps back and identify your goals first, and then we'll position your essays around your goals. So I think the entire process was extremely structured. And secondly, I was a little clueless about which school I should choose. And again, through your guidance, I was able to identify which would be the best fit for me. And also there are specific schools which look for certain profiles, and it's easier to get in there. So rather than spending all your time on different schools, which you might not even get into after all the effort, I think it's important to direct your effort towards the schools where you have a shot and which do have a ranking and align with your goals in the end. So I think it all started off from there. And so finally, I've gotten to Columbia, Kellogg, and Booth. And I'm still in the process of making a decision, but yeah, so...
Excellent, excellent. That is a fantastic position to be in. You'd rather be in this dilemma, right, than not have any admits in hand. So fantastic. Kudos to you. You've had great results. All right, I'll start by asking about your fun fact, which I think I had on the slide, about the books you read. You're having some target of reading books a year or something like that, I think we put up for you. So I think you're a bit of an avid reader. So tell us, how has reading helped you? Because both Sandeep and I really push students to read and, read well, and how that will help you in your essays and interviews. Hopefully validate that for me.
Absolutely. I think reading has helped me in many different ways. Number one, even on the GMAT, right? So I got a V47, and despite my Quant score not being that great, it pulled up my GMAT score. And while all the tips and tricks help, I think having an inherently strong hold or grasp on the language is a plus. Number two, I think in terms of positioning yourself and your essays, reading basically helps you make it more engaging and palatable to the reader as well, because the way you basically portray your stories and how engaging it is, basically because the adcom, like Autry always says, they're going to read like thousands of essays, and for your essay to actually stand out, you need to have that X factor. And I think reading definitely helps because you have your own style, and it helps you portray yourself in a better light.
Excellent, excellent. Now just let's deep dive into the process itself. How were the essays for you? You mentioned you had some ideas, and then you reached out to me, and then we changed things around. Help students understand, what was different for you. What do you think worked? Where did you feel I added value? Let's talk about your goals, for instance. Coming from private equity, wanting to move out. How did we go about it? Just break it down for us a little.
Absolutely. So first, talking about the goals. So I currently work in VC, and I want to move out of VC. And VC is usually seen as the most sought after industry post MBA. So actually positioning this differently, I think you help a lot in terms of giving direction and to actually justify why I want to do this, which is a key factor, which wouldn't have come out completely in the right light. And I'm happy I did that, because I remember having this conversation where I'm like, should I just stick to VC? And you're like, no, just do whatever you want to do, and we're going to position it around that. Because then again, essays are just one part of it. And then in the interview, you might just get caught because you don't mean what you say. Yes. So I think the goals are very important, and that's a key aspect and an entry to the entire process. Secondly, when it came to essays, I was completely clueless. So I entered the process, and Autry was like, okay, you write an essay, I'm not going to help you out. And he was like, what is this? It's so boring. Why are you writing like this? And I think the feedback, the turnaround time for the feedback has also been tremendous. Like I keep telling him, are you superhuman? How do you respond in such short spans? And he would send me comments saying, no, just delete this. And the best part is he wouldn't write the essay for you because it still needs to have your voice, which needs to come out. But the feedback was invaluable. For instance, say for Kellogg, they focused on leadership. So they basically had an essay where Audrey was like, okay, I want you to focus on your leadership skills and you can portray. And this is not something you can find off the internet. So I think that was a great value add. For CBS, for instance, they had their new essay. And like I said, I love books. And there was an essay about which book has made the most impact in your life. And I wrote about that. And despite it being a great essay, at least I thought it was, you were like, no, you're not writing about this. We are going to write the new essay because the chances of because it's something new and there's a reason why the school actually put it out. So I think through the entire process, I received a lot of guidance. There is a lot of material on the internet, but these kind of insights, I'm unsure if I would have been able to do it without your guidance. So.
Thank you so much for that, Anaga. I will just add two things here that you mentioned. Anaga mentioned about the new essay that Columbia added. Yes, absolutely. When a school adds something new, you should definitely pay attention to it. Columbia's new essay is something that a lot of other schools have also gone down. It was the path of diversity and inclusion, which I made all my students write. And if you guys are been reading the others listening, we know that D&I is a very big thing right now. Schools want to, you need to be seen as someone who's championing the cause of the underserved or whatever, especially if you're applying from an international country where they need to see that you're aware of such nuances. So that was primarily the reason why I moved you from your comfort zone, which was writing about a book, and writing about something which you were not. So that was one. What was the other thing I wanted to mention? Now I've lost my chain of thought. Anyway, I'll come back to it. Tell us about interviews. Tell us about how the interview process, how did we go about preparing for it and so on?
Got it. Actually, I would like to add on to what Sharon said. So I remember receiving that list of questions where you're like, okay, use the STAR approach. And these are the questions they will ask you. So I still remember sitting and prepping for it. And Audrey actually, I had mock interviews with him. And he also gave me like tips like you need to dress to kill. Like you are not just going to sit and have like a laid back attitude. I want you to sit tall and be confident. And when I get anxious, I have the habit of like getting deep into thought and I don't smile. And he said, you need to have a friendly demeanor. You can't just be so serious because then they would get put off. So, and also steering the interview to questions which you would like to answer. For instance, I'm into art and it was similar to diversity and inclusion. So in the Columbia essay, I actually spoke about female empowerment through my art, and that actually took us on a different tangent, and it was a topic which I could talk about a lot. So steering conversations into, in the direction in which you want them to go, I think was great feedback I got as well. So.
Thank you for that again. Okay, it came to me while you were talking about interviews. Yes, be genuine, be yourself, know your story really well. I think that's the absolutely hallmark of success. But what I wanted to say was you mentioned about writing your own essays. Absolutely. I know there are plenty of people who approach others and they get them to write. That's a really bad idea. It leads to very bad results. Plagiarism to start with, it is unethical. But at a most simplistic level, what I tell students is, you will be writing the AWA essay when you do your GMAT or GREs. It's just logistics, guys. I'm talking to all the students who are listening in. If you're even tempted to reach out and get another consultants who also do this, and it's just terrible, it's just bad practice. Because what schools do is they use a software, it's called Turnitin. You can Google, read about it. It's just an artificial intelligence check where they see if the same student who's written their AWA essay on the GMAT or GRE has written their own application essays. And they're able to analyze, the way you write. So you can't really calm the system. So really important, and I'll absolutely validate what Anaga mentioned. Read widely. Verbal 47 is out of this world. I can tell you, Anaga, you should write that on your resume for the rest of your life. It's something that will open doors for you always, because people know how hard it is to get a high score on the GMAT. Getting a high score on the verbal section is that much harder. It's unheard of. So kudos to you. All the best. You have fantastic things to look forward to, and do be around, and the other students join.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay.